Sylvester Stallone, a talented actor with an imposing physique who revolutionized the world of American cinema, in part thanks to the two great roles that made his entire career. You've probably watched at least one of his films, and enjoyed his mythical battle scenes, but we're sure you don't know who Sylvester Stallone really is, this man of impressive athleticism who hid behind his movie characters for many years. Make yourself comfortable, today we will tell you the story of Stallone, alias Rocky or Rambo, this actor who started from nothing, who became, thanks to a Herculean mental strength, much more than an icon, an emblematic figure of American action cinema. Today, you will certainly learn one of the most beautiful lessons of your life. Let's start. Who is Sylvester Stallone? Michael Sylvester Gardencio Stallone, called Sylvester Stallone, was born on July 6, 1946 in Hell's Kitchen, New York City, USA. His father, Francesco Frank, was a hairdresser of Italian origin who emigrated to the United States in the 1930s. His mother, Jackie Labafish, of Ukrainian Jewish descent through her father and French through her mother, was born in the United States. She was a former dancer and astrologer. Life has not always been kind to Sylvester Stallone. Since he was a child he had to fight for everything. Due to complications at his birth, Stallone was pulled by forceps, and his face was deformed. This unusual birth caused a slight facial paralysis on the left side, his mouth became slightly twisted and his tongue became half-paralyzed, which later caused him serious speech problems. As a result of this disability, Sylvester was mocked by his classmates throughout his childhood. As a mediocre student with little motivation to study, it is in sports, and more particularly in bodybuilding, that he finds his happiness. However, he still enrolled in college to study drama in Miami and collected his first short-lived jobs. It was a difficult start. His beginnings were very complicated, to say the least. Failed auditions and rejections from agents didn't help either. Behind the rejections, always the same sentences, the same excuses, his appearance and his speech were disturbing. He was even told on several occasions that, with such a physique and a way of speaking like his, he would never make a movie. And yet, back in New York, he was nevertheless able to land a few minor roles in some Broadway fringe plays, which he alternated with long months of unemployment, where he found himself without money and without a fixed abode. He was in such a disastrous situation that one day he was even forced to agree to shoot an erotic film, The Party at Kitty and Studs, renamed The Italian Stallion years later, for which he received, according to his own testimony, the modest sum of $200. It was his very first appearance in the cinema, yes, unglamorous, indeed. The rest of his roles were just winking appearances alongside the giants of the cinema, as seen in the shadow of Woody Allen in the film Bananas. He also played a few almost insignificant roles in TV series like Kojak. A few years later he finally got more important second roles, like in Capone, or in Death Race 2000, where he always played the role of the antagonist. He had to wait until 1974 for a second real role in the film Lords of the Flatbush by Martin Davidson and Stephen Verona. That same year he married his first love Sasha Cizak, with whom he had two little boys. Sage, born in 1976, and Sergio, born in 1979. A gifted screenwriter. But Sylvester Stallone wasn't just about acting. From an early age, the young American had been cuddling the ultimate dream of making movies. He didn't just want to be on television, he dreamed of making great cinematic masterpieces. His project was to allow those who wanted to escape through his creations. Between the accumulation of odd jobs and the rage to get by, Sylvester Stallone writes the story of Rocky Balboa, an unknown boxer who finds himself, overnight, facing the world boxing champion. His story is inspired by a boxing match he had attended as a spectator and which put Muhammad Ali in the ring with an unknown boxer, Chuck Wepner. To everyone's surprise, the latter gave a fierce reply to the great champion. A beautiful lesson in life, which only rekindled the flame that was dormant in him. Determined, the actor then struggles to find producers interested in bringing his story to life on the big screen. But well aware that the role of Rocky Balboa could turn his life upside down, Stallone refuses to sell his script if he is not guaranteed the title role and therefore decides to play the lead himself. It is finally John G. Avildsen who will accept and sign the direction. The Rocky revelation. Rocky's shooting was a real feat as it was completed in barely a month and on a very tight budget. Like his main character, Stallone finds himself catapulted from the back row to the front of the stage. The film was a huge success, almost unexpected, winning 10 Oscar nominations. Stallone became the third person nominated in the categories of Best Actor and Best Original Screenplay for the same film after Charlie Chaplin and Orson Welles. The love story it offered, the moral values and fights truer than life, the first part of Rocky was undeniably a real success, reaching the top of the box office as soon as it was released in 1976. And that's how he and his character become alter egos, and at the same time acquire the status of icons of the American dream. The film won a total of 3 Oscars, including Best Picture of the Year. The story becomes universal, that of Rocky Balboa, one of the little ones who assert themselves and persevere, arming themselves with strength and courage. In the end, Rocky was definitely a true allegory of the American dream. The actor then embarked on a true Rocky saga and wrote 7 other screenplays in 1979, 1982, 1985, 1990, 2006, 2015 and 2018. The Rocky series presents a fascinating comparison between the career of the actor and the boxer, both leaving the small loser lost in Philadelphia to evolve towards a superstar monopolized by his image. Victim of his success, Sylvester Stallone later directed his first feature film as a director with Paradise Alley, released in 1978, except that the film lacked success and was badly criticized. But it took more than that to bring down Stallone, who immediately put his foot down and returned to acting with the second iconic character of his career, Rambo. Rambo, a second date with success. At the same time, the actor lives another success story with a new role in 1982, that of Rambo, a veteran of the Vietnam War, homeless, who is attacked by a provincial sheriff who doesn't want to see the symbol of a slaughtered America wandering around his city. The actor, who is used to action films, has played the character of John Rambo 4 times in 1985, 1988, 2008 and 2019. Rambo is really the role that consecrates him as a world superstar of the cinema. His character, a veteran warrior, becomes an icon and creates a real wave that is called Rambomania. The character and his exploits restore pride to the Americans who are still licking the painful wounds of the Vietnamese quagmire, all the more so because at the same time, in the plot of the film, Rambo 2, the mission, the hero spots and frees American soldiers still held in Vietnamese jails. The film thus conveys the idea that this American hero single-handedly avenges a disgraced country and emerges victorious from the war. This is how Stallone became more than an icon, a true legend. Another success, at the very least unexpected, with the musical Staying Alive in 1983 and its famous soundtrack by the Bee Gees, following the worldwide success that revealed John Travolta, Saturday Night Fever, which he also co-produced and co-wrote. The film was heavily criticized, but nevertheless worked commercially. Sylvester Stallone varies the registers and appears in a detective thriller, Nighthawks, a detective comedy, Cash and Tango. Then, he tries to get rid of the roles of Rocky and Rambo, which inevitably stuck to him, turning this time to comedy in the 90s, with The Scrambles in the Bag. Stop, or My Mom Will Shoot. But it was unfortunately a great failure. He then returned to action films and shot Cliffhanger in 1993, The Expert a year later and Cop Land in 1997. In 2010, Stallone embarks on a new adventure, surrounded by his acolytes of the 80s, Mickey Rourke, Bruce Willis, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, playing in Expendables, Special Unit. The film meets with the expected success and the craze generated gives rise to a sequel in 2012 with Expendables 2, in which Jean-Claude Van Damme appears this time, then a third part in 2014 with the coveted Antonio Banderas and Harrison Ford, but this time without Bruce Willis. At the same time, Stallone is playing the lead roles in various projects, set in a muscular register, with more diverse fortunes. In 2012, in the action thriller, Bullet in the Head, where he plays the role of a hitman forced to team up with a policeman to find the murderer of their respective team members. In January 2016, Sylvester Stallone was nominated for a Golden Globes Award in the Best Supporting Actor category for the film, Creed, The Legacy of Rocky Balboa, Rocky's spin-off. With this nomination, the man whose door was shut in the nose in the 1970s has become a myth in American cinema. A colossus with feet of clay. If today the actor is so appreciated, it is not only for his brilliant career, but also for his person and his temperament of a tough guy with a soft heart. Throughout his life, both in his professional and private life, Sylvester Stallone has had to endure hard times and has been able to cope with the worst moments. His greatest tragedies have included the death of his eldest son Sage in 2012, who died of natural heart failure, which was probably aggravated by his smoking, and the illness of his second child Sergio, who was diagnosed with autism at an early age. Many wounds that Sylvester Stallone is now trying to heal with his family, present at every event and involved in all his projects. Today the father of 3 daughters Sophia Rose, Cicidine Rose and Scarlett Rose, whom he had with his third wife Jennifer Flavine, and at the head of a fortune estimated at more than $400 million, the actor seems to be reconciling himself with a life that has not always been the most merciful. So, what do you think of the incredible story of the living legend of American cinema? Tell us in the comments.